hour and we'll see what happens. First thing I want to ask you about, we have a contract, it's called a syllabus, and it has a schedule and everything else that goes along with it. That's the way we're set to do it. However, I'd like to make a change, and in order for me to do that, I need you to tell me that's acceptable. So this week is week 3, and I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going to cover chapter 3 in detail. There is, if you'll remember, in the files section, an outline of chapter 3 that is completely on federalism that will help you read through chapter 3. And there's some additional info in that outline that I've put in because I didn't necessarily like everything that was in the chapter. But use that to study, prepare, right? I will talk about it a little bit, I'm sure, but I'm certain I won't cover it in detail like I would like. All right, and then your paper will be due, your rough draft for your paper will be due this Friday. Remember, so that's going to involve federalism, of course, the Constitution, and Federalist Paper number 10, and Declaration of Independence. Federalist and the Declaration are also links in the file tab section and linked to it in your assignment, under the assignment. So that's still going to be due, and then next week the final draft will be due. That won't change. What I want to do is take essentially these 5 weeks and push them to the end, right? And here's why. All right, so, and then I'll move this from socialization, everything, these 4 weeks, maybe these 6 weeks, I don't know about that yet, but essentially we're gonna go and then we would start with socialization and start working our way through. Because there's an election, I don't know if you guys know that, but there's an election in a couple months. And I'd really like for us to have some discussions about how people get their information, how they form opinions, media, campaigns, how those things work, marketing and advertising associated with it. I'd like for you to have a better sense of what actually happens. And I'd like for you to see it happening in real time as we talk about it in class. And I'd like for us to go into the election and then into Thanksgiving with some knowledge. And I say that because at Thanksgiving, I'll assign you an extra credit thing that you really need to have a good understanding of what's going on. It'll be post-election, so there'll be an interesting thing happening. And that's basically the premise. I don't know what else I want to say. But I mean, look, bottom line, I want to jump to the fun stuff, right? It's an election year, and I just didn't set this course up when we started in that particular way. But that's what I want to do. And then we'll come back to, listen, there's 3 branches of government. I can talk about it now or I can talk about it later. I'm sure you all covered it in civics. Of course, we'll talk more about the details. In some ways, the pressures of politics and campaigns and elections play a role in Congress especially, and somewhat in the executive branch. And maybe, I've never specifically tried to approach those chapters in that way, but there may be a way to connect or talk about the outcome on those chapters and do it a little different. I just don't want to go into, this is Congress, there's 2 houses, this is the process, this is how a bill gets passed. I mean, we'll do that. I just don't want to do it now. I want to talk about something else for the next month and a half. And then I want to have some intelligent discussions or expectations going into the election. Does that make sense? That's what I'd like to do. I don't feel comfortable just changing the schedule without your agreement. It is a contract. Of course, I'm on board. And so all the assignments that go with will also change. So the next assignment, it will just be the next paper. Instead of moving to a test, we'll have the second paper will come up more quickly. It'll follow within a few weeks, couple weeks, and then we'll have a test This will essentially be your first test if we change the schedule. And then we'll go back to the branches. We'll finish off the semester with a couple of tests, and then you'll have a paper for a final. So your assignments will be the paper you're doing now, and then another paper in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, and then test, and then final paper. That'll be the way it works out. And that may work better since you'll be traveling over Thanksgiving, get to be the end of the semester, people get kind of cranked out, tests are online, give you a little bit of space to breathe, while the other classes you have are asking you to write papers. All right, so there's my pitch. Any thoughts, questions? Any disagreement, disapproval? Okay, let's see a show of hands. All say aye. All say noes. The ayes are above the noes. Come on. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So next week we'll move into socialization. Chapters 6, 10, and 11. We'll be on that for a couple of weeks. And like I said, there'll be a paper associated with that. And just as a reminder, Files tab, Federalism outline, Federalist number 10, Declaration of Independence are all here. Under the Assignments tab, Paper 1, Declaration, Federalist 10 are both there. Constitution, there's a copy of it in your book at the end of chapter 2. Okay? Any questions about the paper, getting started writing it? Yes?
It says on there that we have to demonstrate that we use the Learning Commons library.
Yeah.
So you absolutely want us to take our rough draft and have them look over it. Is that what you're saying?
Reach out, ask for some assistance. Have an outline, have a rough draft, send it over, say, here's what I'm thinking. Or send them a question like, I'm looking for an article or a source to support this claim, and have them show you how to go find it, right? Or try to walk you through it online or point you to a resource or something. That sort of thing. Make it really easy for them to help you. For my purposes, what I'm really interested in is you use, click the link, make the call, use the resource, right? That's what I'm really interested in. If you need help with the paper, and none of you would be hurt by using their assistance, and you're working with the writing lab and they give you some edits, it's just gonna be better, right? Maybe you learn something from that. That's it. It's not a high bar, right? Just something. Okay. Where's my notes? Oh, this thing. Hey, copy of the Constitution. From one semester to the next, I never understand why some semesters I get ahead and some semesters I get behind. It makes no sense to me. I have actually harder time in these longer classes because I tend to talk more and I don't move ahead as quickly. I don't feel the time pressure. But, I'm gonna give you 3 big things about the Constitution that I think make sense. I gave you kind of everybody knows Virginia plan, New Jersey plan, Connecticut plan, the basic main structures there. But 3 points. Can you see? Where am I at? There I am. Let's do these 3 points. 3 problems. Okay, so 1, Our response